Oh, hello. Loads of information about Kill Team. The new edition of Kill Team just dropped over on Warcom. We're getting an app. The Compendium teams are confirmed to be gone. There's so much stuff. Let's get into it. Strap in. It's going to be a long one. So the first thing to say is what's happening with the teams. So I'm going to start by reading from the article the relevant sections, okay? The Vespid Stingwings and the Tempestus Aquilons from Kill Team Hivestorm are just the start of an awesome new range of miniatures, but their peers from the current edition aren't going anywhere. Almost every Kill Team released in a box set, from the Veteran Guardsmen of Kill Team Octarius, right up to the Hunkin Jaegers of Kill Team Termination, will have fully updated rules for the new edition, and a pack of physical Dazer cards to keep them close at hand. While those Kill Teams found in the Kill Team Annual 2021, including the Euclidean Starstriders and the Galabox Infected, will receive updated digital rules. And you will have seen there's 2 stars there, and they go to this little line that says, this does mean that Kill Teams from the Kill Team Compendium will not have updated rules. So we know the Compendium is gone. There's also this section that says, many classic Kill Teams will also be shipped out in brand new boxes that sport a QR code linking to their full and up-to-date rules online, with balanced patches and updates for all Kill Team rules hosted right here at Warhammer Community. It is designed to make it as easy as possible to try out a new team, so if one catches your eye, you can check the rules out online, get the box, and you're good to go. And following that, in the video, right, we see we've got a Kill Team app coming. So that's going to be a one-stop source for all your Kill Team's faction rules. And again, anything that's updated will be updated in the app as well. In your hand, you're going to have all the rules for both you and your opponent. And if you ever want to check out some new teams and see how they operate, it's all going to be there too. So let's break this down. We know we're getting an app. That's amazing. And it sounds like the app is, at the very least, it's going to be free in terms of, unlike the 40k and the Age of Sigmar apps, it's not going to be correlated to a code in the book. So you're not going to have to buy a team and type in a code to unlock that team in the app, because they specifically say all the rules for you and your opponent, and you can check out new teams. So the rules are going to be free. Now, whether the app itself is paywalled alongside Warhammer Plus, who knows? I'd hope not. But who knows? That is the case with 40k and the Age of Sigmar apps, I think, right? Or bits of it, like list building bits of it are paywalled, aren't they? Something like that. Yeah, the little bits of the app are paywalled. So they might do something sneaky like that, but at least you're not going to have to buy the boxes to unlock the rules. We know the Compendium's gone. You're going to be able to buy card packs for the other teams from the previous edition. So if you're someone that likes cards, you'll be able to buy those at an additional cost. I can't see myself buying any of the cards, as much as I have liked the cards in Season 3. If the app is as good as the 40k app and the Age of Sigmar app, I can't see that I'll want cards, okay? Now, what's interesting is that they say the annual 2021 teams, so that's the White Dwarf teams plus the Star Striders and the Galapox, aren't getting card packs, but they are getting updated digital rules. Now, this chimes in with my idea that those teams from the annual 2021 are going to go to Legends at the launch of the edition, okay? So they will get new rules, okay? But they haven't used the L word, they haven't said Legends, but they've certainly given us an indication that they're not going to be as fully supported as all of the other teams. So my hypothesis, and it is only a hypothesis, is that those annual 2021 teams are not going to be tournament legal, if you like, but they will have rules that you'll be free to use, independent tournaments that might say you can use them. You know, we've been over this in the previous video. Independent tournaments that might say that you can use them, or games with your friends at home, is my speculation. And part of the reason for that is you can't buy Galapox, okay? You can buy Star Striders, but they're in a different box. We'll look at that in a second. I'm also now thinking Inquisition and Chaos Cult teams are going to Legends right away as well. Why do I think that? Well, they said almost every Kill Team released in a box set. Chaos Cults were never released in a box set. You have never been able to buy a Chaos Cults Kill Team box. Doesn't exist, okay? And Inquisition were, but they've been reboxed out of their Kill Team box and into a 40k box, if you look on the website, and I'll show you that on the next slide as well. Like I said, it's unclear if the annual 2021 teams are going to be included in the app or not. And this larger rumour about teams rotating out in 2025, that could still be true, but they won't say so now. So, to give you my view of how I see it, based on my reading and understanding of the text, plus a little bit of speculation, it looks something like this. So, here we've got no rules for this edition, so all the Compendium teams, they're definitely gone. Right, they're certainly gone. And then we've got here the 4 White Dwarf teams, so the Admech, the Thousand Suns, the Wormblade and the Harlequins, okay, plus the Galapox and the Rogue Traders, where what they've confirmed is that they're going to be partially supported on launch. Now, we still have 2 questions. Will these be legal for tournament play? We don't know. I suspect not, but we don't know. Will the rules for these teams be included in the app? We don't know. I suspect not, but we don't know. Okay. Then they've pretty well confirmed, okay, that all the teams that we see here in the 3 yellow sections will be fully supported on launch, a full part of the game in the app everywhere for you to go and play in events. So, and then remember we had the rumour that maybe at the end of the year this first line would be going, at the end of next year this line would go, at the end of next year this line would go. I think this is a pretty sane number of teams, to be perfectly fair. We got 22 teams here, and then so plus the 2 that we were launching with, the Vespid and the new Scions, so 28 teams. And then over the course of the edition, they'll go 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and then we'll lose a row of teams and have kind of that number. I can see that being the thing, but we don't know. Now, these 4 teams here, I now have... I don't think it's clear what's happening to them. So, Strike Force Justian, are they going to get in the same boat as the Compendium, where they just have no rules? Are they going to be in the same boat as Star Striders, Galapox, and the White Dwarf teams, where they get a digital rules update? And whatever that turns out to mean, right? Same question for the Intercession. Same question for Imperial Agents, because they're now in a box that looks like this, which is not a good sign for them remaining in Kill Team, right? And same question for the Chaos Cult. My feeling and my speculation is that these 4 teams are going to be treated in exactly the same way, okay, as these 6 teams up here, whatever that turns out to be. Now, these could remain tournament legal, and they could be in the app, and it could be that the only thing that they lack is a physical card pack that you can buy, right? That's the best case scenario, okay? I'm just slightly fearful that they're going to be not considered tournament legal, but we will see, okay? We will see. And the reason I think that, I know just because people will speak in the chat, is just because the Galapox Infected, you totally can no longer buy whatsoever. And then the other 2 things have been reboxed or never had a Kill Team box, right? That's just my thought. So that's where we are in terms of the teams. So certainly Compendium teams are certainly gone. Another thing that's certainly gone is shapes. We pretty much knew about this from the preview day when we saw the measuring tools with numbers on them, but we know for sure that the shapes and colours are gone. I actually quite like the shapes and colours. I thought I could understand, I guess because I've studied learning and how kids learn stuff as a thing, right? I understood exactly what they're trying to do, but it has been, like, as much as I quite liked it, and I made a conscious thing to learn, and I do think in terms of red, white, and blue when I'm playing Kill Team, and I'm now going to have to relearn to think about things in inches. I recognise that seemingly makes me really odd, and that there's a big portion of the community out there that yearn to get back to tape measures and inches, so... we'll see where that goes. I thought it was a nice idea, but it is gone, and that should make most people happy. So at the end of the day, it's a good thing because it maximises happiness in the world. Right. They've then said they've clarified the rules. So I'll read what they said. They said, rules terminology has been clarified in order to clear up confusion right from the outset, with many actions and rules following a simple process of checking conditions before applying effects. Some, like the universal actions, reposition, shoot, fall back, and the like, are presented in clearly marked boxes with their effects and conditions labelled in green and red, while concepts like cover state when and when not to apply them in plain language. Most rules are accompanied by a designer's commentary in the margins throughout the core book, which helps explain the reasoning around some rules, clarifies potential mishaps, or simply offers advice about when and where you might apply them. These snippets are an invaluable aid for new players who lack the benefit of experience, clearing up ideas like why it's not always a great idea to finish off an opponent during a fight action, or why using more conceal orders is a good idea if you're losing operatives too frequently. And then we get an example of a rewritten rule. So this is reposition, right, which is what they've decided to rename the move stat, which is quite interesting. So reposition 1 AP, green triangle, move the active operative up to its move stats to a location it can be placed. This must be done in one or more straight line increments, and increments always rounded up to the nearest inch. It cannot move within the control range of an enemy operative unless one or more other friendly operatives are already within the control range of that enemy operative, in which case it can move within control range of the enemy operative but cannot finish the move there. And a red diamond to say an operative cannot perform its action while within control range of an enemy operative or during the same activation in which it performed the fallback or charge action. And then one of these little designer's notes in orange, I guess, which says, moving in increments allows for greater precision and clarity, which I guess is true. I mean, is the idealized movement tool for Kill Team now some kind of thing with straight pieces of plastic that are rigid and an inch long, and then it kind of bends like a snake? Is that, in theory, what we should be using? Just a thought. So they have made it clearer. Like, I understand what's going on. Okay? It's interesting that they've renamed move to reposition, which I think removes clarity. When I first read the pros, I noticed they didn't mention dash, but we do see dash on the commando card that we're going to look at later, so that is still there. I like the idea of a designer's commentary and the sort of, oh, why have you done that kind of a thing. I appreciate that. Now, something in the video that I've popped in here about the cover section, the cover system, it says, things like the cover system is much more simpler and refined. It's still got that same depth and still works in the same way. Which, does that mean that they've clarified cover but they've not actually done any root and branch changes to how it works? So we're still going to have the zone of death. They just believe that they've phrased it in a way that will make sense. Now that's interesting, because I for one was hoping, like I've said a couple of times, that the cover system will be changed to bring it more in line with 40k. You know, when you're inside heavy terrain, you are obscured. And when you're outside heavy terrain, when you're inside heavy terrain, you're not obscured, but you have cover. And when there's a piece of heavy terrain between you and your opponent, you are obscured by it. But it looks like, from these couple of lines from the video, that they're trying not to change it. They just simply believe that they've clarified it. The devil is in the details, so it's probably not going to be totally unchanged. We'll have to see. Okay? The next thing we get is a bit more detail on solo and co-op play. So this says, as anyone who's taught their friends to play Kill Team will know, it can be tricky reining in your dazzling command skills to give newcomers a chance. The new edition provides an elegant alternative with a brand new cooperative game mode that pits one or two players with their own operatives against hordes of enemies controlled by a simple automation process. Enemies in these joint ops are known as non-player operatives, or NPOs, and can be represented by a wide range of miniatures from your collection, from cultists and mutants to space marines and Xenos fiends. This gives players a great way to teach rules fundamentals in a battle just as tense and as exciting as regular competitive games, and also brush up on their skills when fellow commanders are off doing exciting things much less fun than playing Kill Team. And in the video, Elliot says, "We've introduced new ways to play the game. We now have a solo and cooperative mode. So for the first time, you can play with your buddies, but if you also want to team up with a friend in a really cinematic mission, you can do so. You can play all these modes solo as well. It all works on a procedurally generated system." It sounds kind of cool and interesting, but I don't know if it's aimed at me. It's certainly not something I think I will do often, because if I'm alone, I'd rather play video games or paint miniatures or indeed make videos for my channel. But it's something I'll try out and try and make a video like of me playing a solo game just so I can see how that goes. And I do understand it's something that's more and more popular for more and more people. Now, for me, the reason I like playing more games is it's a chance to actually leave my room and socialise, which is nice. But I can see that they keep framing the co-op mode as being good for teaching, and maybe it will be good, a better way of getting people in and hooked on their first game. So that's cool. Like, nothing is lost by them adding this kind of stuff, right? It's not like them adding in solo and co-op play takes away from the sort of PvP play, right? So it's just an extra. It might be like narrative play. I might go through the whole list and never use it, but it's a nice thing that is in the book. Okay. The next thing I want to look at is that they show us the Daer Boy's sheet. Right, so they've written the data sheets themselves have been refined to reduce clutter and lower the amount of characteristics per operative, removing group activation and defense. We'll delve into these deeper when we take our first look at the rules from the new kill teams tomorrow. In the meantime, we have a sneaky glance at the new Daer Boy. So I have to assume, that defense 3 and group activation 1 are the default. And if they want to ever deviate from that, they'll have to put a special rule saying, you know, this thing rolls an extra dice for defense, or this thing rolls one less dice for defense, or when you activate this model, you can also activate another model with the same name as this model, right? I think that makes sense because there were very, very few things in Kill Team that wound up using a defense value other than 3 or a group activation value of more than 1. So that's positive. Now, I looked through Daer Boy's rules. His wounds, his save, his APL all remain the same. The weapon stats all remain the same. He used to have a special rule called Unload Slugs, which was basically you get rerolls when you're shooting at someone within short range. And now that's been sort of clarified by making it into a second attack with his Daer shooter, so that when he is within 6 inches, he gains ceaseless, which is pretty cool. It's nice to have it on a profile rather than as some pros at the bottom. It's going to be easier for people to understand. Everything else, like, it seems like everything is the same. Everything works the same for the Daer Boy. Nothing has changed about how the Daer Boy is statted. It's just been rewritten to be clearer and more clarified. So if that's the case, it opens up the thought that if people have, maybe not for the Daer Boy, but if you've got some Season 3 stuff, maybe carry on using your older cards if there aren't any material changes to the rules. I don't know, that might be a bit uncomfortable for you, but it's just a thought. What I thought was interesting to notice, I was looking for any differences. Back in the day, all the things had little like tags, like a clan tag, so it's a lot of people for a long time kind of rumoured that they were going to layer on like we'll give some special rules to make all your orcs goths or to make all your space marines dark angels. That's gone. So they were laying the groundwork for something in case they wanted to use it, then they decided not to use it, so that's gone, which is good. And the 32 in the circle there in the bottom right hand corner, that's the base size, which is a nice kind of unobtrusive way to put it on there. But it is on there as well. So that's the Daer Boy. Nothing's changed, but everything's changed. Everything's clearer, but he should behave in exactly the same way in the game. And hopefully that's indicative of a lot of things, and most people's previous teams haven't changed all that much. It was about asymmetric win paths. So this came from the video. It's not in the text on the article. Elliot said there's a real asymmetric win. The subtitle says pass, but I think he meant path. There's a real asymmetric win path in your games. For example, in approved ops, and remember that approved ops is just the competitive play mode, right? What we used to call crit ops. You will select secret tac ops when you also pick your primary op. So if your primary op is one of your 3 ops, so your tac op, your kill op, and your crit op, and that's a secret selection, and you'll get bonus points from that particular op at the end of the game. So what this means is, first of all, it sounds a little bit like, watch the video back for yourself, that maybe you only have one TAC-op card now rather than 3. He kind of goes back and forth on, he uses a singular for your TAC-op. He does say TAC-ops, I think, once, so I'm not sure on that. But your primary op is talking about the secure capture loop, right? The thing that everybody in the mission is doing. Although I'm just going to drop in at this point that if you watch Can You Roll a Crit on YouTube, he's rumouring that a playtester has told him that loot is gone. So just bear that in mind, okay? And then you have your kill op. We went through the kill op in the previous video. I've put the little picture down here. This is this new thing where you're rewarded with victory points for killing your opponent's miniatures. And then essentially what you're going to do is you're going to pick either, and then this is private, you're either going to pick the kill op, so you're going to score extra on your kill op, right, if you want to focus on killing. You're going to score extra on your primary, so whatever that shared primary, like secure is, you're going to score extra on that, or you're going to score extra on your TAC-op, which I think is interesting, something else to reveal at the end of the game, and it's been done, I think, so that your opponent can never be sure they've won. It adds in another little thing where your opponent has to go, oh, but if they've set this as their primary, they could still win. Oh, if they've set this as your primary, so it means that you can still. It's another thing, and Kill Team's already pretty good at this. It's another thing to throw in there to try and keep the game engaging for both players until the last throw of the dice, right? Which is cool. Now we're going to talk about equipment packs. So again, we looked at the plastic for this after the reveal stream. So what they've said is, in the video, so we have some upgraded equipment packs now. You still have your faction equipment list, but you also have universal equipment. Now the way it works is you just pick 4 things, and it's no longer a points value assigned to those things. So everyone will have access to different grenades, smoke grenades, stun grenades. But a really new exciting feature is that you can actually use equipment to get terrain now as well. Things like heavy barricades, barbed wire, mines, ladders, radios, all these kinds of things. Equipment you can now select to supplement your team in your kill zone and further add to that atmosphere. Now, it's unclear to me from what Elliot said, is that does everybody always pick 4 things from this plastic equipment pack, which is what I'm assuming, or is that 4 things from your universal equipment and your faction-specific equipment put together? Or do you get 4 things from equipment and 4 things from faction equipment? Or do you get 4 things from the universal equipment and your faction equipment is on EP as it was in the last edition? Like, it's not quite clear, okay? But however it works, I think this universal equipment's interesting, and we can kind of look and see what it will do. So presumably you've got your 2 barricades, which we know which are movable light cover, and then you've got these barricades which are presumably movable, which are presumably heavy cover. So why would you pick light when you could pick heavy? Maybe this is taller than a man, so you can't generally see over it, and you're going to have to think about your tactics in that regard, right? I imagine the barbed wire is totally see-through and provides no cover, but maybe it takes an extra movement when they try and get through it, right? When they try and traverse it. I would assume that the ladders let you climb up things more easily. You got tokens for all your different grenades. You got mines, so presumably you can lay down some minefields that will do some damage if people stand on them. You've got ammo dump, which is interesting, so I wonder what those will do. The radio, which I would imagine is either going to give out CP or AP, if you have someone operating it. I don't know. The only one I can't quite figure out what it might be is these little portable heavy. How are these here, these little mantlet things, going to be different to these big concrete barricade things? I'm not quite sure. But I think that's really cool. That's a really cool dynamic. I hope that it is a separate budget to your faction equipment list. I hope that you don't have to decide between the two, so that people actually use it in every game. Okay. You also talk a little bit about Killzone Volcus. It seems like they are sticking with 1 terrain set per year model, because what they've said is, so the new Killzone Volcus is a brand new Killzone to play in for the season. It will change the game again. It's a very dense city fight Killzone, so lots of heavy terrain, 2 big dominant strongholds, so you get real push and pull back and forth over these strongholds that will come to dominate the Killzone. It'll feel like you're fighting over a dense city block, which is really cool. So that tells me that these two big squares here, they're going to be glued together that way. That's going to be how they are on the maps, right? You're not going to be pulling them apart. They are designed to be part of the kill zone. We're going to live with those for a year. And then we've got the smaller bits. Now, an interesting question for me is, are there narrative pieces? I think I see some. Is that a little Imperial, like, drop troop ammo crate thing there? Right, I think I see some narrative pieces. So I think they're going back to the model of, here's your terrain set for the year, plus a narrative terrain sprue for this box, plus teams. It remains to be seen if the other boxes in this season are going back to the Season 2 model, where we get to rebuy the terrain set over and over again, or whether they're going to go back to a Season 3, even though we've had a big box for the launch box. If we go back to a Season 3 kind of a model, where the future boxes are just teams and narrative terrain sprues. I would say, like, there are definite pros and cons to them doing the big boxes. Like, I quite like 40k and 30k, and the idea of being able to acquire a whole table's worth of 40k terrain at the knockdown price over the course of a year, like a part work, is actually kind of appealing to me. Like, you buy all the boxes and you've got enough terrain for a 40k table. That said, there will be loads of people I know who only play Kill Team who will be absolutely livid if they do a Season 2 again and try and resell you the same copy of the same terrain over and over again. I know that's true. If they do revert to Season 3 style boxes, then please, they need to make Killzone Volcus into an evergreen product that people can actually buy. Oh my word, let's not put ourselves in the insane scenario where if people didn't buy this launch box, they just can't play in the kill zone. That's like the main way to play Kill Team now. That would be really daft. Don't do that, Games Workshop. Come on. Right. That's about it. So, final thoughts. There was a lot there. It felt like we actually got more information there than we got in the live stream. Did I miss anything? Did you understand anything differently? Let me know in the comments down below. Join me for tonight's hobby stream. So I'm streaming in about 45 minutes from now. Probably when you watch this, a bit later. I'm streaming at 7:30 anyway. So, and maybe as you're watching this, you could be watching a live stream. And there's going to be a big giveaway of memberships. Thank you to Mr. Nightfall, who promised he would give away some memberships if Major Tom painted a tank in a certain way on the Discord, and he did. So he's kind of lost that challenge, right? So he's gonna give away some memberships. Now, remember, if you are a member, or indeed if you join the live stream and get a membership, that then lets you vote in the Tell Mr. TI What to Paint painting contest. And also, on September the 1st or so, you'll be given a team to paint, right? Go and watch the video about the hobby challenge if you're not sure what's going on, but that's definitely a thing as well. Alright guys, thanks for listening, and I hope to see some of you in a little bit in the hobby stream. This has been a special extra video because there's so much news. Cheery, bye.